right. Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Hopefully, there was not a echo. I don't know why I do that. Stupid. Hopefully, there wasn't an echo. I think it was okay. How y'all doing? Greetings. Welcome back. We're live on. We're live on. I'm laughing because somebody in the call-in chats, their name is Fed. I don't think they misspelled Fred. I don't, clearly, maybe that's a joke. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just like obvious. Maybe it's just obvious. Maybe they're just not even hiding it. But greetings. Yeah, we're live on, where am I? YouTube, Colin, Rockfin. Rockfin people, how you doing? William is here. Howdy, he says. Max is in the YouTube chats. What's up, Max? It's real slow for people to get in here. I think you guys are expecting me to start at like 9:15, which has been kind of the case. Twitter, I don't know. I think there's people on Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter, post a comment up on the video, and I'll respond or something. So Max says the EPA is clamping down on some of the methane from the oil industry. Oh, well, isn't that nice? Obsolete is here. All right, people are kind of slowly moving in. And there's people listening on Colin, Timothy, Phantomas, some other. HIMARS. HIMARS was going to call in the other day. I was interested in having a conversation with HIMARS. Okay, so, and yeah. Let's see. We'll say the phone lines are open for a few minutes. Just a few minutes for a quick convo, if anybody, or if somebody has a quick thought they want to give me some sage words. We got Fed, HIMARS, and I don't know who Drew is. It's in the chats. I don't know. I'm working on the assumption that these are actual people. And HIMARS has the same same icon or whatever as Greg. So there's that too. Greg shows up, same image as HIMARS, so that totally look like real people to me. You're funny. You guys are funny, man. You guys are hilarious. You guys are hilarious. Man. But what's up, y'all? Let's see. I was still kind of trying to push together a couple of things. It's weird. The new way that I do this show is a little bit it's a little more labor intensive. It requires like a certain amount of time. On top of the research, right? Or on top of the putting together this, the things I want to cover, it takes like some actual like just a certain amount of like work, right? In the formatting, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And but somehow, some way we're gonna get there. Um, what do you guys think about? Has anybody heard about? I probably will leave this conversation for later. But there's like a New Zealand whistleblower. Um, have you guys heard about the story? No? Anybody? No? The cop conference is so bad that everybody is covering it, right? Um, and I guess it's become just somewhat obvious that we're not gonna we're not really gonna do anything about this. And I know it's a weird person to refer back to. But Jordan Peterson, years ago, when asked about the climate change situation, said immediate answer, "Oh no, we're not going to do anything about that. It's too big." These were his words. It's too big. It's too massive. We're not going to do anything about that. Yeah. Right. Which I think is. Let's see if we can just at least get. All right. At least get some of these things in here. What's up? All right, now everybody's here. Right, you guys are expecting like 9:15. Is that the deal? Extra Bulla, John's here. Some other people filing in. I'll leave the phone lines open for or the call-in line open for 5 minutes. If somebody wants to call in. Yeah, no. Oh man. No? Okay. Everybody's just chilling. We got some people coming in on Rockfin. Where are my Rockfin folks at? Where are you? Maybe maybe this time is too early in the morning for everybody. Is that the deal? I mean, I know it's not morning where a lot of people are at, but I feel like maybe it's like people are moving a little slower or something like that. Is that what it is? Max Sarjay says they are really clamping down on YouTube. If you say anything that might be sketchy, close it immediately. They're called spiders. What do you mean? You mean in the chats? You talking about in the chats? Oh, let's see. Is that what y'all are talking about? Or are you talking about doing an actual broadcast? Was that what you mean? Explain. Explain. Inquiring minds want to know. Where's this other? Oh, here we go. That's what that is. That's what that is. There's a video of Christopher Wray, the FBI director, talking to Lindsey Graham of all people. Old Graham Cracker, I call him. I thought that was funny. Can you tell us what you're seeing out there, FBI director? Come on, Graham Cracker was funny. Um, yeah, well, spiders have been around for a while, Max. Spiders have been in in use for quite a while. Things that crawl the web. Um, they crawl the web looking for info. Is there evidence that let's see, what was this other one I was looking for? Is there evidence that there's a going to be like a clampdown, like a bigger clampdown, and that is rhetorical because the answer is yes. They're really looking for reasons, ways to limit what people can talk about or how people can interact with each other. It's too right now. There's too much going on. There's too much information out there being given to the people, and they don't they don't like it. They don't like it one bit, and they want some excuse, any excuse. You don't like Israel, you're an anti-Semite. You don't like what's happening in Gaza, that's akin to law breaking around here. Huh. Oh, what I was saying about the FBI director of that video was he was saying that he sees flashing red lights everywhere. There you go, right? Maybe I could find that. Let's see. I don't know. I was just watching it. Oh my God. I can't. Some of these videos out of Gaza are just. Well, hopefully they'll make you angry. Wow, there's really some serious information coming out of New Zealand. 11,000 politicians and elites received an exemption for the COVID vaccination. An exemption. Politicians and elites. I wonder. Man, I'm going to talk about this, I guess, on Rockfin later because I'm not going to talk about it on YouTube. Okay, well, let's get into something. This is from Leon Simons. NASA Ceres data is making me very anxious. The northern hemisphere used to radiate more heat to space than it absorbed from the sun. Not anymore. I'll read that again. The northern hemisphere used to radiate more heat to space than it absorbed from the sun. Not anymore. Kind of like the ocean used to absorb all the heat. The ocean was a super absorber, super absorbent. This ocean is super absorbent. So throw away those other silly oceans that don't do the job on tough puddles of goo. I'm just making it up. This ocean is super absorbent, but yeah, they're not absorbing the heat anymore. This causes very rapid warming of the northern hemisphere, where 7 out of 8 billion people live and grow their food. We better prepare. Paul Beckwith following that up with, yes, the climate crisis may wipe out 6 billion people. That's where we are rapidly heading. Or I misread this as heating. We are rapidly heating. And COP28 will accelerate this. Because we've all agreed to triple renewables and double energy efficiency. Because golly gee willikers, that's going to do it. The geographical location of India makes it vulnerable to severe heat waves and flooding. This is just the latest disaster. So there is a cyclone. Is it me, or is it like a weird? Is it a weird time of year for cyclones? Is it me? Is December a weird time of year for cyclones to be hitting India? I feel like it is, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like it's December, and we're talking about cyclones. But maybe I don't know. But this is Chennai. Massive floods again. Cyclone Mishwang. So yeah. Tanzania, almost 47 people, at least, not almost. 47 people died and 84 others are injured, causing massive mudslides in the Mount Hanang of Manyara region in the Tanzania. And periodic reminder of what an energy transition to all renewably generated electricity that keeps all the energy we have today. And don't at me that electricity is so much more efficient. If that was indeed a good thing for our economic system, it would have already been done. I mean, I guess. That's not necessarily a great argument. Because we had electrified everything back when there was the first cars and the first train. You know, Los Angeles had a complete train system. The city I live in had a complete train system. They had trains everywhere, and they were all electrified. And they took them all out in order to build roads and cars. So it was a political, it was political slash, you know, I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, it was capitalist, of course, right? Political capitalist machinations that got rid of all these systems that were electrified. So, you know, had we gone another direction, or, you know, if Tesla was allowed to bring his inventions forward, if people were allowed access to, you know, better forms of energy than burning coal in a power plant, maybe the trajectory of human civilization in the world itself might have gone in another direction. But so that I don't know about that. I don't know about that argument. It might have been more efficient, but efficient isn't what people are looking for. People are looking for profits. profits? What's profitable? Is everybody getting afraid? Is that why nobody's chatting? Are they afraid of getting censored? What's going on? Is that why there's like 3 people chatting? That can't be the reason. I mean, we have the usual number of people. Is everybody just not feeling it today? Feeling shy today? I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, this is what it looks like if we get to net zero or phase out fossil fuels by 2050. This is what the curve will look like. But the thing is that the curve will look like that if climate change keeps going the way it's going, and if our civilization goes the way of the dodo, then it'll totally. I mean, it won't be the straight line. It won't be so nice and clean. But it'll pretty much be straight down. Straight down to almost nothing. And so, I don't know if you can want to call that magic, but you can call that the universe having its way with us, because we think we have all the control and all the, we think we have all the control, and ultimately we don't really. Yeah. Yeah, man. Holy cannolis. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Mag out. Mm-mm. Let's see. Well, I think I'm gonna, let's see. Man, don't let the dead air get you. Man, don't you dare let the dead air catch you. All right, well, so we might as well it's all good. You guys don't feel pressured. People chat when they want to chat. You know what I'm saying? Hey, let's take this call from Joseph. What's up, Joseph?
Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, man. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
I can. How you doing?
It sounds like it's choppy.
Oh,
The
does it?
Fed is in your calling list here.
I know. That's funny.
Oh no, Fred. Sorry.
No, it's not Fred. Oh, I could be Fred. Maybe they made a mistake. Also, HIMARS.
It's the Fed.
Also HIMARS, which I think is a hilarious name. HIMARS.
Well,
dude, HIMARS. What the hell?
Right.
I made a call-in account, so
HIMARS.
I made a call-in account, and I thought that I would name it HIMARS, which is a acronym for High Mobility Artillery Rocket System.
Oh,
so
I should have known that.
totally like, totally sounds like a real dude to me, and has a Ukrainian flag, and has the same Ukrainian like flag image that Greg has. Greg is a real person. It's just funny to me, man. That's
Maybe
hilarious
he
to me.
knows Fed.
I think he knows Fed. He might also know Drew. I think he possibly knows Drew too. I'm not sure. I think they all know each other.
Good time.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I bet it is. Wherever they're,
Well,
I'm pretty sure it's a party, y'all.
um, I just, the whole civilization thing is magic. Even if they did what you suggested and electrified everything along the way, it's the same amount of industry and more because of the upkeep as if they just burned coal in a plant,
Mm-hmm.
because you lose the density of the energy source by doing that. It's just a lose lose all the way around. And it's easy to hide that lose if you electrify because you're not actually witnessing the pollution from the power
Right.
firsthand.
Right. Well, I mean, that's part of the reason why I think people can allow themselves to think that climate change isn't a thing, is because
I
we've
agree.
actually done a really good job of hiding the pollution from people. Right.
Unless
So
you're
it
where
was
the
way
mining and drilling is going on.
it
Yeah.
was way easier for people to be upset about smog and smoke and pollution and burning carbon when there was actually smog, when people had smog alerts, right? And people
Right.
were living
When
in
you and I
cities.
were kids, there were fires
Right,
on rivers.
right, exactly, exactly. And so, like when you're living in a city with a dense cloud of smog, it's way easier to believe like, oh yeah, we're completely killing ourselves with this. But
And again,
if you can bring it down enough, if you move all the smokestacks to China and India,
you're better off. Yeah,
you're way better off. And you also put catalytic converters in cars, and you kind of can regulate the smog thing a bit. Then you can get people going
and
like, I don't see any problem with. I think the weather is fine. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. Right.
meanwhile, the toxic substances of the catalytic converter and the industry behind it do way more damage on top of the damage you were doing before you had them.
Right. Sure.
And that never gets included in any discussions either, let alone the gravitation stuff that I talk about, or a lot. That never gets to the table.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned in that article, the Earth is reflecting, or northern hemisphere reflecting less heat to space, and
Yeah.
really,
I
Earth
thought
is,
you would probably find that interesting, right?
well, yeah, it's less energy because it's red shifted. We used to be blue green, and now we look more red, which indicates the whole atmosphere is jiggling and reflecting less effectively, not just you know what I mean?
Right.
It's one big package, and it's less to do with the ice reflecting than the ice cooling the oceans, and the oceans not having more heat to absorb than the ice can cool. But
Right.
I guess you can't fit that in an article as conveniently either. It just gives people a sensation that there might be some options, and it's the wrong impression to give from people writing this. I think Paul Beckwith's doing a much better job on that front lately.
Paul Beckwith is really doing great work right now. I'm really liking, and on all sorts of things, on all sorts of topics. I really am enjoying. I'm hoping that Paul Beckwith doesn't go the way of Jim Bendell,
Yeah,
though, right? Because he's actually taking on some political topics, and
right.
and they don't like that. It's like, oh, stay in your climate change box, sir. Don't start talking about other things because people might actually, um, I don't know. But Paul Beckwith, interestingly enough, has kind of always been like that. I just don't think people. Yeah. Anyways, I like his work. I like what he's saying.
He has been more on point, pointing at the elites for sure, and
Yeah.
less, some of his narratives. He went along with some of the narratives of COP for a long while in his work, off and on. And I know he knows better, but like you said, you get thrown out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think it finally got to him, and he's just not going to bend the knee at all anymore.
Yeah.
I
I was going to ask you.
what do you
Okay.
think?
What do you think? Um, what do you think about a near future timeline as far as like heating? What do you think is what do you think is happening, or what do you where do you think
Wow.
this is going to go?
The most near term I ever get to is about 4 decades, and it's the ocean surging that's going to outweigh everything we face, pretty much, except our own social collapse. Honestly, that's
So wait,
it's
ocean
partly my
surging as
opinion,
far
but
as
mostly it's the physics.
ocean
I don't know
surging as
about
far
that.
as heat, like it's being
Ocean surging as far as depth, the king tide stuff, because all that energy is going to spread from the equator outward, where they experience all these turbulences and whole shores get swamped in from tides and islands disappear. That's coming north and south towards the pole more and more. And at what point does that magically happen? Someone just asked me, well, is it going to go over the Cascade Mountains? At some point, probably. Is that going to happen in the 4 decades I'm talking about? I don't know.
well.
Where you are, definitely.
So, but you think that that's the most immediate um, issue, or
No, I think, well,
I'm saying like what's
perhaps
I think way before that we're going to be
food
experiencing some other
collapse.
things. Yeah,
Food collapse from heat and cold. I mean, some of these extreme cold spikes,
yeah,
because you're talking about rates of change, right? Absorption versus rejection and incoming. And
yeah,
those are at maxes on all fronts. Just where do the holes show up? Kind of. When you have a big enough hole that you can absorb a lot of energy really fast, like the center of a storm has a lack of pressure, right?
mm-hmm.
Whereas on the outsides, tons of pressure.
Sure, sure.
So, what do you think? I mean, I think food and water are going to be the first things that large populated areas are going to have trouble with.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely something kind of kind of kind of major is going on. I feel like with the crazy spikes in temperature that we've seen this year. Because I mean, yeah, you have to admit those are pretty off the wall spikes in temperature, right?
Yes, which, like you said, it's the ocean not taking up heat as readily, which means rapid expansion as well,
Yeah,
which means rapid changes in pressure
yeah,
and
yeah,
vapor.
yeah. Um,
I don't know, Kevin. I mean, it's both together, but you can't get away from the ocean once it surges. I mean, there's no defense against it.
sure.
People in the coastal regions, I'm terrified for every life on the coastal regions.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't. I don't think that we're gonna be. I think we'll be long gone before that happens.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I just don't know that for sure.
Yeah. I'm just I have not been a fan of the hyper like Sam Carana timelines. Um, uh, as I used to read Sam Carana all the time, but then after a while, I kind of got a little bit. Um, I kind of I got a little bit like over it because he was like 10 C by you know next weekend or something, right? Like his predictions were wild,
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like,
I
okay,
don't know how
okay,
you get
okay.
to those. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, after about like 4 years of that, I was like, all right, dude. Um, I used to give them a little bit of weight, and now I'm just like, okay, this is a little bit ridiculous. And people, here's the other thing that kind of bothered me about it was that people were always, 4 years ago in my chats, people would be like, we're done by by February. We're gonna be human civilization will have collapsed. Right? This is in 2018 or 19.
I remember
And
reading that.
people would just absolutely like lose their minds if I didn't like toe that line or agree with them on that. And
Kind of that Guy McPherson effect from,
kind of, yeah.
yeah,
Kind of like, well, the predictions are, we're going to go with the most dire prediction, and if you don't, if you're not in our camp of everybody dead in 6 months, then you know, you're a loser. You don't know what you're talking about, and shut up. And I'm like,
right.
that was like 4 years ago. So I'm like, okay, what happened, losers? Like, what happened to your super hyper predictions that you insisted, that I was just an idiot for not. And I've never been a person that's been like, this is not a serious situation, like not at all. But like, you can't live like that, and you can't be so entrenched in your timeline or in your thoughts about this that are gonna run around the internet and just scream at everybody who doesn't agree with you. I mean, it's just a little ridiculous. But
Right.
um,
For my, if I weigh in on that for how I plan, which my plans always crumble, but if I were to
there
plan
you
at work,
go. Right? Make a bunch of plans and watch them all fail. There you go. That's
right. But I figure I have a couple of decades to set up somewhere high enough elevation and maybe have some people on board with doing that in different locations that we can kind of migrate to and fro, depending. That's as far planning as I can go with climate change. Because what are my options? I mean, which city's going to get hit by the big wave first? Which city's not going to have food and water first? I don't know. I can't know that. No one can. Not really.
yeah.
And the heat thing, 10 degrees, you have to, if the oceans stop taking up heat and there's no more ice in the poles and no sizable glaciers, sure. But we still have lots of ice at the pole, at Antarctica anyway. And it is melting faster and faster. But while it's there, you're not going to see 10 degrees globally average
What about
because,
what about a rapid spike to say 3?
well, that's coming for sure. As
Yeah.
the ice gets
So
down volumetrically,
if 3 is
what
extinction, then what?
that's where I'm at. I'm 30 years, I think that's
Do
30
you
to
think it's
40
30
years.
years to 3C?
I think in 30 to 40 years before virtually, if not all, the Antarctic ice is gone. And the experts will say 100 years to 200 years, if ever. And I don't mean completely gone. I mean gone to any point of changing how the ocean absorbs heat relative to everything else going on. That's when it reaches that magic point. I don't know what the temperature would be of the atmosphere because the oceans are going to be bigger. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be something to ask Jim. Uh, Jim, the ocean guy, Massa.
Jim Massa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he would
Yeah. I
actually
mean,
be able to monitor.
I don't know. I'm well. So my in bringing up what I was saying about not uh not being into the former timelines. Um, hold on. Can you still hear me? Okay, everybody good?
I'm good.
Okay. It's just me. I'm getting like some. I'm getting some. Anyways, as long as it's not hurting anybody else, so I can deal with it. Oh, what I was saying. So the reason why I brought that up is because crackling. Okay. Check.
mostly pushed by his sense of the biological collapse, which is well beyond anything we talk about. I mean, it's like 80% collapsed, overall, if you put it all together. And that's where he comes up with his extreme views. He wants, in his way of evaluating it, everything else should be catching up to that.
Right. Well,
Right.
so what I was trying to get to is that I wasn't really a fan of these extreme timelines, but this year has made me has given me a bit of pause, right? And this year, actually, I feel like we could start. I'm in no way saying like 4 degrees by next, September, but I think that there's a real possibility that we could actually be like squarely at 2 degrees in the next 2 years, squarely, if not more. And that's me being like ultra conservative. That's me being ultra conservative because we've already hit 2C.
We are at 2 degrees.
I know a lot of people would say we're at 2 degrees, but I'm just talking about what they're willing to admit.
Yeah.
What the official, where we're at officially, they're anywhere between 1.1 and 1.4, right, is what they're admitting to.
And that is so conservative.
It is extremely conservative. So I'm just saying, if we get 2 degrees officially in the next like year or two, I think it's it's a really short hop, skip, and a jump to have some serious problems starting to unwind. By 2025, large scale, crop failures, and large scale like migrations, people running around, trying to figure out where can I be okay for a couple of years.
It's already happening in the parts of the world that aren't so far north or so far south towards the poles.
Yeah, I think it is already happening, but not to a degree that you can actually like. I mean, I guess you can kind of see it, but it's not to a degree where it's just. I'm talking about you and me. Our lives are disrupted. Like people who live in the
gas pump, right?
People who live in, whatever you want to call them, Western cultures in the Northern Hemisphere, who are still safe right now, who can still comfortably like pay their bills and turn the heater on, and go to the store and buy food. That is not there anymore, or that convenience is greatly impacted to the point where people are like, I don't know where I'm going to get food for the next couple of days, or I don't know where I can like set up my tent so that I don't either, expire due to extreme heat or flooding or extreme cold or something, right? Like that kind of disruption. And I'm not saying that, I firmly believe that. I just think it's a much higher probability than I thought before. Because I rather deal in probabilities than like, I believe this. My the probability scale for that happening in the next couple of years has gone from, 50-50 with me to like, 80-90. And I don't want that to be true. I don't want it to be true. Huh? What was that?
I was just, everybody blames it on COVID, but really it's not. All the stuff that's sometimes not on the shelves anymore, there are supply problems happening already.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
With futures, what the investors are looking at in futures is going right along with what you're saying.
Yeah,
they know. So what you're saying isn't far-fetched at all. It's just my physics isn't going to predict any of that in any particular way that I can look at.
Sure.
So it would just be my opinion.
Yep.
On what you did.
Yeah.
I think any given day, they're going to shut stuff off because of exactly that. Any given day. And I don't know when that is.
And
And I don't.
right,
It's not going to be directly because of climate, something climatological. It's going to be because of something sociopolitical first.
sure. Yes, exactly. I think you're exactly right, Joseph. I think they're covering, like, okay, for years we've known that they know what's coming, right? They know what's coming. And
Yes.
on some levels, for the conspiracy, for the and I'm not really like, I mean, I wouldn't debate anybody on, for the people that think that there was a biological weapon released in order to bring the population down.
Yeah, I
I,
wouldn't argue one way or
I
the
I'm
other on
not
that.
I'm not,
I
I'm not, I wouldn't argue against that idea at all. But I think all of that is a cover for the ultimate, the environment, the capabilities of the planet to sustain, you know, this many people is going to start failing rapidly. And
right. I mean,
they're trying to get ahead of that, by creating a political or geopolitical atmosphere in which they can, you know, control everything that's going on until that collapse happens.
it doesn't even have to be a nefarious effort. It's just a desperation in what they think of, and in terms of what's going on is logical. You
Right.
know, I'm not saying it makes sense to me. I'm saying I understand it. That's all.
At the very basis,
Yeah.
it's a control for what's left, right? They're going to be
Yeah.
there. The
Like,
resources are resources and access to the resources. It's not that they won't be available. It's just the ways that they get. That's why you're seeing like this massive push for trying to control, where energy comes from and where it goes. Right.
you ever
It's
listen to
been for the
Simon
last
Machow?
huh.
Simon Machow? Machow? I'm
Oh
probably
yeah,
butchering his last name.
yeah.
He, everyone, I think, should have some level of understanding of some of the stuff he talks about. I'm not saying his conclusions are in line with everything you and I are going to, say and believe or know. But as far as energy sourcing, there's a distinct issue with what people think of as an energy source and what an energy source actually is and where it comes from and what it takes to get it. And he's trying to teach that in a really detailed way, and that would help everything you just said a lot as far as communication goes, because we don't have the heavy industrial diesel oil in our country. I mean, that's
Right.
a ruse. We have none of that. All of that, or most of it, if not all of it, gets imported and refined here, but from somewhere else. And it's exactly where all our military bases are scattered all over, where the
Sure.
heavy diesels come from. And once you lose that, you lose shipping, all shipping, basically. You lose any ability to have war. You lose any ability to smelt copper
Right.
for the most part and get it. You know what I mean? All the
Right.
things that make what we call civilization happen come from that heavy diesel source.
Sure.
You can't do that stuff with nuclear power or hydroelectric power or any other kind of power. It just can't happen.
Yes.
And no one's talking about that on the evening news or even on these climate channels. Paul Beckwith doesn't even really talk about this much.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and we're we're really, this is the yeah. They're just the ship controlling the shipping lanes and controlling the pipelines. Who can ship what
Because that's
to where?
desperation.
And
Yeah.
this is the end. This is the trying to control the last of the resources or the access to the resources is key to when things start really like coming apart. You know,
Right.
to being able to maintain some power. So at least on the surface, that's what it looks like. There's so many other things that are going on, that might be not visible to the average eye that we're not even privy to, right?
Right, and I would go to water first because for every bit of industry, it takes copious amounts of fresh, clean water to do
Yeah,
the industry.
yeah,
And yeah, it's a dwindling, very quickly dwindling resource, if you want to call it a resource.
Everything,
And
all of them, all the,
that's rarely.
the knock-on effects of the lack of water, the lack of like stable growing seasons, all kinds of things. And then you're going to have even the extreme weather is going to, or extreme weather events are going to impact the ability for things to operate, energy production and or, delivery. Like those things are going to start getting really like knocked around. They already are. They already are getting like.
They already are. Yeah.
Like really knocked around big time, and they know, and they don't really talk about it. That's the crazy thing, While people are shouting and arguing whether like climate change is really like happening or not. No, there's stories every day, extreme weather events every single day. There's, things getting, crops getting knocked out and power grids getting knocked out. And I'm sure the ability to access, and drill and mine and pump and deliver and all those things are getting like knocked around. Right. And so, if it gets knocked around enough, then and you're right about the whole supply chain thing is, interesting development, right? Like it could be COVID, it could also be, I think it's a combination of things, right? They were blaming it on COVID, but I think there's
not.
Yeah. Well, the whole, the Panama Canal being backed up. I mean, one theory is climate change, and another theory is they're making it happen. I don't know. Maybe,
I don't know.
Could be both.
Right?
Could be both, but right.
I kind of think I'm not supposed to know.
Right.
I mean, that's the intent, basically, on all of it.
Sure.
And when I'm really confused, I go to look at, or I used to. I can't. It drives me crazy now. But I used to go look at the futures market. Because that's usually a driving force behind all of that. And a lot of times they're just trying to drive up a price of a commodity that they know is going to vanish in part.
Right.
They do the same thing with tuna, bluefin tuna. That's been going on. They're relatively extinct.
Sure.
And that's because they fished them all out of the water and froze them so they could keep driving the price up.
Right.
I don't think oil is any different from what I can tell.
No, I don't think so. And well, here's the interesting thing about oil. God, I'm getting so much disturbance on my phone. It's like you guys. I don't think you guys can hear it, but I'm getting so much.
It's that bed guy.
It's maybe. There's so much. Well, here's
bed guy.
Here's the thing about oil is that. If you allow the price to go up too much, then it becomes unaffordable for basically it destroys the economy. Right? So if you allow the price of oil, so they need to be able to control the price of oil, even if it becomes scarcer and harder to get, right?
To keep the gears turning.
The gears turning, because if you actually allow for the market, the free market, to price in the difficulty of getting oil, extracting oil, and delivering oil, and processing oil, and all of it. If it goes to like $10 a gallon, then it's unaffordable, right? Then the economy really collapses. It breaks down. And Mike Rupert, bless his soul, completely spelled this out, right? As part of the 2008 collapse. It was a big part of it. The fact that the oil prices went up, I think that was as much a part, maybe more, than they keep talking about housing. They keep, talking about the 2008 collapse as if it was a housing thing. And I've always been of the mind, like, bullshit. It was not housing at all. I mean, there was a lot of debt. There was a lot of debt going on. There was housing debt, and there was credit card debt, but you drive up what happened was They drove up the price of oil. I think I say drove up because I don't think it was just like accidental, because there was too much uniformity in it to be accidental, right? Because the price of oil, the price of gas all over the country is different, right? Everybody knows this. It's like $2
Yes.
cheaper in Texas, right? It's a certain price in the East Coast, and it's a certain price on the West Coast. It's usually pretty expensive on the West Coast. Anyways, I remember I was traveling the country. I was driving a lot, and it was $4. You know, gas had typically been about two something, and it went up to like $4 a gallon everywhere in the country, all at the same time. And I was like, "That's freaking weird. That just doesn't happen." Right?
Right.
That doesn't happen because you have regional differences in prices based on, you know, whatever it is. And so I was like, okay, that's not right. And it just stayed there. It pegged there for about 8 months or so. Maybe it was a little longer. Pegged at $4, and people were like, "Oh, you like screaming, crying, pain. Please make the pain stop," because that energy spike forced all the price of food to go up. It was harder for people to get back and forth to work. All of a sudden, you're missing credit card payments. All of a sudden, you might be missing house payments. You know, you might be only able to pay half the bill, right? All of that spike in the energy price like threw everybody off course, and then it became, oh, the housing bubble collapsed. And Mike Rupert talked
Agreed.
about Mike Rupert totally laid it out, you know, exactly like that. I was like, when I saw him say that, I was like, boom, dead on. That's what it was. They can't let the energy prices spiral out of control because you risk. There's already a house of cards, a huge house of cards going on, as far as like, you know, national federal debt and credit card debt, and everybody I talk to is talking about the economy and how bad it is and how everybody they know is struggling.
Sure.
And
I
everybody,
mean, and you can go back before
yeah,
in time to pre-industrial times, and we were in fertile land debt and water debt
sure,
in the same way.
right,
And in the Roman Empire, you know, it was in road industry debt. It couldn't keep its roads up enough to maintain its empire.
right, right.
And
But
along comes coal and
we're
oil,
right there
and
right
we
now,
get past that.
right. We're right there right now. It's amazing to me that actually the price of gas is going like down right now, because I think on some levels I think that's they're trying desperately to control the price of fuel, especially during the winter, because
Why they also?
if it goes up and it spikes for long enough, that is
I'm
goodbye.
sorry.
Like everybody stops being able to pay their mortgages. Everybody stops being able to pay their credit card bills. Everybody stops being able to, you know, just to function normally. Everybody stops being able to afford food, and then food spikes. You know, it's just things go hand in hand to create like a really big collapse. I don't know, you know, I don't know if that's the intent, or you know, they're trying to hold that off for a little while. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Hey man, are you there? I stopped being able to hear you. Hello, sir. I lost you, man. Anyways, well, I gotta I gotta end the show here. Yeah, gas is actually going down right now, which, you know, just as on a personal level, yeah, I'm super thankful for that, because um, expensive gas makes my life difficult. But um, it's kind of odd that it's going down. But I'm like, okay, whatever the reason is, I'm fine with it. I'm sure there's some kind of manipulation going on. I don't know. All right, guys, that does it for me. I'm going to end the show here. I'll probably have to bring back some other stories for tomorrow, but it's been, you know, hopefully we got to talk about this and that. Right, gonna check in on the if I got any Rockfin tips or YouTube tips or coffee tips or PayPal tips or you guys know how to support the show? I think you do. There's all kinds of links. For the people, does anybody want to? You know, people said sometimes they don't do anything online. If you guys, do you guys want to? I used to put my PO box in the description box. So if you guys want via the snail mail, you can do that. Maybe I'll put it in tomorrow. Let me know or send me an email, blackbearnews@gmail.com, and I can give you the PO box where you can send some money. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate y'all. I'll see you tomorrow at the regular hour, the new regular hour, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And until next time, peace.